welcome back to my channel. From the title of this video, you guys already know this is just going to be a watch me work, and I'm going to jump in whenever I feel is needed. And excuse if you guys can hear any music in the background, please ignore it. There's not much I can do about it because I am at my studio and one of the other girls is here and she is playing music. So I'm just using a regular fine sanding band. I didn't push the cuticles, there was no need. She didn't have much extra skin or dead skin around. I'm just buffing the nails out and removing any shine, and then now I'm just applying the tips. You guys already know we're just sizing it, making sure it fits sidewall to sidewall, and yeah. Notice I am clipping off some parts of the tips because sometimes the tip is just like that pointed edge. We don't need it, especially if their nails are a bit flatter. It's harder to put the tips on when it's there, and we're just cutting just to adjust, you know. Now this part you want to make sure you get right, because sometimes if you don't, it's really hard to go back and fix your mistake without having to take off the tip. So just take your time with this part. Be patient with your client. Whatever we did with the first hand, we are doing with the second hand. That's why I am measuring each finger along each finger. If that makes any sense, you guys could like visually see what I'm doing. Just make sure you're doing that, making sure everything is equal. Blending in the tips with the natural nails. This part is not necessary depending on what set you're doing, but it's just I'm used to it, so it's something I do. But if you're doing a clear set, yes, this is something you want to do because you don't want to see that line of demarcation. But if you're doing a black set, you really don't have to do this. It's really not necessary at all. It's just a waste of time, and if you're trying to save time, you could take this step out. You don't have to do it. personally don't use dehydrator. I just use acetone on a lint-free wipe. I don't have a lint-free wipe, so I just use paper towel and wipe the nails. And then now I'm just applying my primer. The primer I am currently using is the Kiara Sky acrylic nail primer. Honestly, you guys, it's just as good as the Young Nails. I'm not gonna cap. It does take a little bit of getting used to because the product is a lot wetter and stickier, but once you get the hang of it, y'all, this stuff is the truth. And y'all already know me. I love to apply that clear base before I go and put the colored acrylic on top, especially if it's a dark color like I'm about to be using the blue. And overall, it just helps the acrylic adhere to the natural nails a lot better because clear doesn't have any pigments in it. Because I am using a darker color, you really want to take your time with this. I did speed up the video just a tad bit, so it's not completely 100% like regular speed, but definitely take your time because you don't want to stain the person's nails. And also, you don't want to be running your brush over their skin. Like, that's how you create contact dermatitis and people get allergic to things, like, especially if this is irregular, you know what I mean? Really take your time and notice how I'm tapping and swiping the sides. This is something I'm gonna do consistently throughout this set. You guys will notice that, just to keep that shape, so later on when I'm filing, I'm not wasting any time. My filing takes about, when I was editing this video, I seen that in real time the filing took me about 15 minutes for both hands. That's because I was tapping and making sure that shape that we had previously shaped in the beginning is still there. Like, you know what I mean? We're not creating no extra sides and stuff because it's really not necessary. Take your time when you're doing this part because it's really gonna help with your timing when it comes to filing. And for the French tip fingers, you guys, so I'm gonna actually make a detailed video on how I do my acrylic French tips, so I'm not gonna be talking much when that step comes in this video, so y'all could just watch from now, and then I'm gonna pop right back up when it's time to file the nails. And everything I am using in this video will be in the description box down below, except for the Nude. The Nude, I can't really tell y'all what it is, but because it is a custom mix, but I could tell y'all what I mixed. Everything will be down in the description box. Don't forget to check it out, and don't forget to subscribe as well. nail file. I'm just filing the sides. I'm not doing too much filing during this step because I am going to go back in after I debulk the nails a bit to like perfect the shape. So this part, I only do it because it's just something I'm used to doing. So after debulking, I'm going to go back in with the hand file and actually like correct the shape properly. Now I am just using the Kiara Sky large barrel bit and the fine grit, I believe. It's a safety bit too as well. I'm just removing the excess blue that I put on top of the nude, so that way we can reveal the French. And overall with this step, I'm just debulking the nails, removing any extra acrylic that doesn't need to be there. I'm going around the cuticles, making sure I'm sealing it. This is when I do my sealing. I don't do my sealing afterwards. And we're just perfecting the overall like thickness of the nail. We're bringing back that apex. We're thinning out the tip of the nail. We're not smoothing it out, but we're just making sure everything is even, if that makes sense. So now I'm going back in with that hand file. You can see I am going in a lot harder and more, I wouldn't say aggressive, but I'm putting in some work. I'm really trying to perfect that shape now. I'm going underneath the nail, and notice how every single time I am using this hand file, the nail file is touching the nail, or should I say the nails is touching the hand file. There's not a part of the nail on either side that I'm working with that isn't touching the file. It has to be touching the file if you want your shape to be perfect. You do not want to be lifting your file on one side and you're filing the tip while the bottom isn't getting filed. Like, if you want that perfect shape, whether you're doing a coffin, a stiletto, a square, an almond, that nail needs to be touching, the whole entire length of the nail needs to be touching the nail file. Notice how I turn my client's hand around. This is really good if you're struggling to get that tip straight. So if you are struggling to get that tip straight, turn your client's hand around and you will get a better view of the tip of the nail, and I promise you, your nails will become a lot straighter. Sanding bit, and this is the bit I use to smooth out the nails. We are just smoothing everything out, making sure we finally got all the bumps and lumps out. I really love this step because I love using a fine sanding band because I don't necessarily have to use a buffer when I use this one. I don't like using buffers. It's a waste of time. I just don't like the sound of it. I don't know. It's just weird to me. It's uncalled for. So I just like to use a fine sanding band as opposed to using a medium sanding band because it just gets the job done. It does exactly what medium would do, or if it coarse and it buffs at the same time. Sending my client to wash her hand, we are back. I cleaned up the table. The setup is different, as you guys could tell. I am using the Kiara Sky nail lamp, and now I'm just going to be top coating her nails using my top coat. Actually, I did have this on sale, and then I closed on the website because honestly I just could not be bothered, but hopefully in the next year I could have everything back up. If not, then whenever God decides it's time for me, then we will make that happen for sure, you guys. So just using top coat, and you're going to cure that for about 60 seconds. Not for about, you are going to cure it for 60 seconds. Do that for both hands. Similar shade of blue. I wish that I had went a bit lighter with the blue so that way you guys were able to see the croc print a bit better, but it's okay. This did the job and I liked it, she liked it, so we're not upset, but I just wish that I did go with a bit brighter blue, but it's okay. So you're just gonna use your gel polish and draw out whatever shape you want. It does not have to be these lines. You could do triangles, squares, circle. Be creative with this. Like, we are trying to be we are trying to be different and think outside the box. So if you're not feeling the shape, you could do a whole different shape. You could do longer lines, you could do vertical lines, horizontal lines, all types of lines. You don't have to do this type of shape. Be creative with it. And you don't have to use the same color that we are using now. If you wanted to, you could have used a blue and a white, or a blue and a pink, or a blue and a purple, or black and purple. Like, you know what I mean? It's good to be different. print that you want, or whatever print that is that we did. We did the regular Croc print. We're going to pour a bit of the acrylic powder on top of the nail. First, I applied the blue acrylic powder that I used on top of it, and then I poured on the clear acrylic. You don't have to do both. You could just use one. It's just that I wanted to make it a bit thicker so that it was more raised. So it can have like a more raised and a 3D effect. So that's why I use both. But you really don't have to do this. This is such a waste of product in my opinion. I don't know why I did it. But yeah, remember, whatever we did with this hand, we are doing with the second one. So I'm just applying cuticle oil. This is just some regular jojoba cuticle oil that is from my brand as well. And then we're just rubbing it in to the natural nails. Well, not the natural nails, the cuticle area. Guys, look how beautiful her nails were. She loved them. I love them. But please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and leave any questions you have down below. Bye.